So I spent a lot of my life travelling around the former Soviet Union, baptising people, and now the memories come back in later life. And without doubt, that is the hand of God. That is that higher hand all the time, the hand of grace, the hand of pretty well predestination. And in those years, meeting some wonderful people. Well, everybody's wonderful, but people who'd had an amazing path in life. So I flew from Moscow down to some far out town, and I had been corresponding for a long time with an old lady in a village, and she said that I'm getting on in years, and a lot of the people in the houses around me are dead. All I want is to be baptized into Jesus. So I've read your book, Bible Basics, and I want to be baptized. We were corresponding. This is before the days of phones and cell phones, and certainly email and all that sort of thing. So I located more or less where I thought this lady was. She wasn't in any particular village, just as I saw it, in a group of houses out in the middle of nowhere. So I flew to the nearest place where there was an airstrip, and I got there in the evening, and the bigger town, and I stayed in a hotel, and I arranged with the hotel for a driver to take me to this place, which was a good 2-3 hours drive from the airstrip. Well, this is a funny hotel. I arranged the driver, and the woman behind the desk said, well, what time you're leaving? You're leaving very early. Yes, I was leaving very early because I wanted to get out, do the baptism, come back, and then fly out to Moscow that evening. And, well, she said, so you're leaving at whatever it was, 5 in the morning. She said, oh, you won't have breakfast, will you? No, I said, no, that's okay. I won't have breakfast. Oh, she said, I'll make you like sukhoy payok, like sort of packed lunch, packed breakfast. And she was most solicitous of my well-being, this lady. I don't know why she was, but she was extremely concerned about my well-being and my getting this packed breakfast. Well, I went to sleep and set the alarm, got up in the morning, checked out the hotel, and the driver was there and said, oh, here's your packed lunch. It's massive, like carrier bag. And there was all kinds of meat, cheese, you name it. Absolutely everything was in this so-called packed breakfast. A lot of meat, masses of meat. I don't know whether she just put all the food that I didn't use in the restaurant the night before in my packed lunch, and she put metal knives and forks and things like that in there, not disposable. And it was, what her agenda was herself, I don't know, because she looked at my passport, saw that my passport, I'm from the UK, and well, I don't think she had any particular designs on me. I think it was just God's hand, and I'll tell you how it worked out. Well, I drove with this guy, and I intended to eat this mammoth breakfast in the car with him, and I thought, oh, I've got so much food here, I'll share it with a driver. But he, when he picked me up, he said, you got to put your bags in the boot, and I put my huge breakfast bag in the boot. And on the whole journey, I couldn't be bothered to tell him, can you stop, mate? I've got a load of food in the back that we could eat. Well, for some reason I didn't. And anyway, we went on, and we came to this very, very remote place. And just as the lady had written to me, there was a lot of derelict houses.
Who's derelict mean?
Empty houses. People had just died, and that was it. The house had just been left. It's not falling down. And, well, we drove as far as we could, and we asked some guy about this lady, and he said, oh, well, yeah, you're going to have to walk. It's a good couple of kilometres, but you're not going to drive there. You've got to walk there. Okay, and this guy sort of disappeared. And the taxi driver said, well, I'd come with you, but this is a bit of a weird place. I don't want to just leave my car here unattended. You go on your own, right? And I'll wait for you. Yeah, okay, I said, yeah. So I
What about that packed lunch?
exactly. What about that packed lunch? So I said, well, let me just take the packed lunch. So I took this massive bag of food. It was heavy. It has so much food in it.
Um,
So I started walking according to the directions that this other guy we met, had told us. Well, there were a load of dogs. Now, I'm scared of dogs. I'm really frightened of dogs. I'm not the big macho, tough, hairy-chested, fearless missionary. Never was. I'm scared of dogs. Always have. I don't know, something happened in my early childhood or something that made me scared of dogs, but I'm scared of dogs. Well, there was this one that was really coming for me, and I could see that he was rabid. He had rabies.
I'm just baby.
Rabies is a disease that's carried by dogs, some dogs, and if they bite you, you'd be pretty sick and you need to urgently get into a hospital. And Cindy had explained to me about the danger of rabies and that there is a lot of rabies in rural Russia.
What did I do to you?
So, this dog was going at me. And I'm telling you, I was scared. And I started to run, but this dog was bigger than me. And I was, my usual strange way, I had my rucksack on my back and this massive bag of food, massive breakfast this woman had given me in the hotel.
Was that grass?
And I had this sort of brainwaves, this dog was coming at me. I said, I opened this bag and there was this, like, I don't know, like huge chicken breast, and I just chucked it out. Oh, that shut the dog up. Oh, yeah, he liked that. He woofed for that. And then he came back after me and I chucked a bit more food out, a bit more meat out of what I had.
Did you chuck all of it?
And then I kept going, but I was scared. And then I got to the point where this dog was really yapping at me, right, and I could see he was coming up behind me. And there was this stream. And I thought, if I can get over that water, this will, I reckon, might just put the dog off me a bit, off my scent. So I chucked my last bit of meat out of this fantastic packed breakfast. And, well, I came to this stream and I walked across it, so I couldn't see a bridge. And there I was, I guess it was up to my knees. And I got the other side and, yeah, I put the dog off me. So I stumbled up. Oh, yeah, then I saw there's a bridge just up there, a little pedestrian bridge. Looked like it was going to fall over any minute, but anyway. So there I was with the remnants of my massive packed breakfast in this plastic bag, my rucksack on my back, soaking wet jeans, and then I saw a little house that looked like a little cottage that just looked like the woman's place as described by the guy who I'd met earlier. So I walked up to the door and there I was with the ruins of my huge packed breakfast, jeans absolutely soaking, my shoes soaking, shaky.
I'm shaky.
Shaky. And I thought, oh, well, I don't know what this woman's going to make of me. Bring the truth into disrepute or anything. Well, fortunately for me, unfortunately for her, she was pretty well blind, so I don't think she actually... her vision was very bad. I mean, she could write with effort, but she... I don't think she realised what a strange mess I looked. Anyway, I introduced myself. Oh, yes, I'm waiting for you. I got your telegram. That was the only way. You could send a telegram local post office and that might get delivered, or a message might get to her within a week. That was how remote she was. Well, we had a super time, and I took her to the river there and baptized her. And Ludmilla, her name was, she was a wonderful person. She was telling me about, oh yeah, dear old Galina over the road there. Well, there wasn't a road, but I mean just over the track there. She died, and dear old Boris, who used to help me in my field, he's had a stroke, and all this kind of stuff. It was quite scary, and she was just a subsistence farmer, growing a few potatoes, vegetables, beetroots, and stuff in the summer, and storing them and living on them, potato by potato, rationing herself over the winter. So there I was, baptized her, and she, dried herself off and all that. And I noticed in this very pathetic, abject poverty, a beautiful old sewing machine. It was a Singer, it said. Singer. I think it said Glasgow underneath. I thought, that looks like that's a UK sewing machine from Scotland, or somehow got it from the UK. Here, a 19th century one, that's what it looked like. Here in rural back of nowhere Russia. And I observed this, and I said to her, tell me the backstory on your beautiful old sewing machine. That's from the United Kingdom. That's from the UK. That's from Scotland by the looks of it. A Singer. Oh, she said, yes, that's my prized possession. Well, I could see that all right. I said, yes, so, how come that British sewing machine is here in the middle of nowhere? Oh, she says, well, here it is. Before the Russian Revolution, that's in 1917, when the communists took over, and they killed the Romanov family, that's the Russian royal family, they took them down salt mine and shot them all. Before that, the Russian royal family used to go to places like the United Kingdom on grand tours, and they would buy whatever they fancied, a huge amount of wealth. And the story was that she told me that, well, they were in the UK and they saw this, what for those days was a fantastic sewing machine, and they bought it and had it transported back to Russia. And she said, my mother, I think it was her mother, or grandmother, or I think her mother, was a servant of the Czars of the Russian royal family. And when they were all dragged off down the salt mine and shot, she grabbed what she could. And she grabbed a bit of cutlery, knives and forks, that the Romanov family, the royal family, Russian royal family used, and she grabbed the sewing machine. And she said, and then I was given it, and I have looked after it, and that's the only thing of value I've ever really had. And, I'm going to die, and you look around here, my daughter is dead, actually, and I have no family, I'm on my own. The houses around here are just empty. Nobody wants to live here in the middle of nowhere, everyone wants to live in the town or in the city. And you just think, what a strange life. What a strange life that God knows his people. God knows his people. And there I was, the British guy, speaking fluent Russian, but the British guy in the middle of nowhere with this old sister now, who had got Bible basics and had read it and understood it. Well, we prayed, and she said...
She died already?
Yeah, I remember she said to me, you won't see me again in this life probably, but I'll see you in the kingdom of God. And then she said, and how did you get here? I said, well, I got a guy to drive me here, and he's waiting in his taxi just down there. And I said, to be honest with you, I had a lot of trouble with the dogs. Oh, she said, the dogs are awful. Oh, the dogs are awful. I better come with you. And she said, I know every step of the way. But she said, take this big stick. So I took this big stick and my rucksack on my back. I left the final remnants of my huge packed breakfast with her. And her and I was sort of holding her arm, but she was sort of holding my arm. We walked, and we didn't cross the river the way I did. We crossed on this rickety little bridge. And we got back to the taxi driver, and there he was saying, I was a bit worried about you. You're all right. And sure, the dogs came for us, but she spoke to them and yelled at them and waved her walking stick at them, and they sort of left us in peace. And I prayed with her again and bade goodbye to her, and I watched her walking back with her stick towards that rickety little pedestrian bridge over the stream. And, you know, began a meet in God's kingdom. Now, that wasn't just another sort of day in the office, as it were. It wasn't just another day in life. That was God's work. And all the effort of, you know, producing Bible basics and mailing the stuff out and corresponding with all sorts of people. For every person like Ludmilla, there's another 20 that you correspond with who didn't come to anything, as far as you know, in this life. And all you can say is there's that higher hand of God. That higher hand. And this is where grace comes in. But you've got to put your little hand in God's big hand, haven't you? You've got to put your little hand in God's big hand.
But why did you do that anyway? Why are you going there anyway?
Because I wanted that woman to be baptized, because he who believes, or she who believes and is baptized will be saved. And I wanted her to come to God's kingdom, to God's glory. That's what I wanted. And I believe that it worked out. But nobody saw it apart from God. And the angels must have been so, well, happy that the whole thing had worked out. So you put your little hand in God's big hand and you say, I want to serve you. I want to go your way. And he'll use you. And he'll go through these things with you. And he will guide you and somehow make things work out, like giving me the massive packed lunch. I mean, if I had been bitten by a dog with rabies, I would have had to go to hospital straight away. I'd have lost my flight back to Moscow. Everything would have fallen out of place. It would have been not only most inconvenient, but in those days in rural Russia, you didn't want to rock up with a British passport and say, yeah, I was wandering around in the middle of nowhere in your country and got bitten by a dog with rabies. So there's all sorts of reasons why getting bitten by a dog with rabies would not have been a great idea. But there you are. God knows his people, and he knows his plans that he has for you. As it says in the book of Jeremiah, I know the plans that I have for you. We look forward to meeting Sister Ludmilla in the kingdom of God.